We are live.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast. And I am your host, Sharifah Hardy. And do I have a very special show for you today? Because today's guest is a very dear friend of mine. She's an amazing person, an incredible lady, and she helps people. She was able to help me and different members of the tribe. So please welcome Dr. Tara Rasta, who specializes in functional medicine and network spinal analysis. Good afternoon, Dr. Rasta. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Good afternoon to you, Sharifah. How are you?
I am amazing. So I was just taking a look at your article in the newsmagazine.com. And one of the things that you talked a little bit about is about self-care. So before we go into functional medicine as well as network spinal analysis, can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of self-care?
Absolutely, Sharifah. I was thinking to one of my friends who likes to be called and not text too. And I recently found out, and we were just talking, and I just told her, sometimes it is so hard even for me to call the people that I love because we are so busy. We are so busy doing this and doing that. And even, it's even easier to text because then you can multitask. So that brings the matter to self-care. It's so important for us to take the time to take care of ourselves. We live such busy lives. We have a lot of things to take care of and a lot of distraction. There is our phones, there is Facebook, there is the text messages, there is the news, there is the toxic food, there is the toxic clothing and makeup, there is the shampoos that we put our head and we think they smell good and they're amazing, but they have a lot of toxicity. And then there is a shallow breath. We forget to even take a deep breath. So I think self-care starts with your breath. Do you even take some time to just tap inside of yourself and to just take a really, really deep breath? Do you use your entire lungs capacity? Our lung goes all the way from up here, all the way down in our back. And I don't think most of us use it. I mean, a lot of people come to my office and we do a little bit of breath work and their breath are just so shallow. So I believe self-care starts with a little bit of a breath, a little bit of connection to yourself, just knowing and being aware of what you're putting in your mouth, what you're putting on your skin, what you're putting on your hair, what kind of water you're drinking. It starts by having somebody else hold space for you, whether it's a massage therapy, chiropractic, nutrition, coaching. It starts by just going outside and being with nature. But a lot of us don't take time to do that because we are so busy. We're just, we're getting one task done and then we're moving into the next task. We are not taking any time for ourselves. We put everybody else ahead of us. But have you ever stood on a breakfast table, Sharifah, and you're trying to fill up someone's coffee? And when you try to fill up their coffee, all of a sudden you realize your pot is empty.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So that is, not taking care of yourself is like being that empty pot. You're trying to take care of other people, but you don't have enough fuel inside of you and you're not able to do any more. So I really believe that taking 30 minutes, an hour a day to just come back to your central, whatever that looks like for you, it's absolutely necessary. But also taking the time at least once a week or every 2 weeks to go see somebody else who holds space for you is even more important, because we need to have 8 appropriate touches a day. In order for us to be healthy, that's what we need. So being able to just be touched in an appropriate way, whether it's by a massage therapist, a chiropractor, it's so necessary, especially if you don't have a partner who's affectionate, right?
You have to get in those 8 appropriate touches. So self-care, I know, is very important, but one of the things that I really like about you on that same vein of being able to speak to people about self-care, nutrition, and functional medicine, and everything that you do, even with the network spinal analysis, you have a very gentle approach. Even looking at you right now, I want to be like, Dr. Tara, where's your white coat? But you have a very interesting take on the white coat. Please share that with our audience.
Sure. So a lot of people have told me wear the white coat, especially when I first started. They saw my picture and they're like, you're not wearing a white coat. And I said, first of all, there is an actual thing that is called a white coat syndrome. So literally they did a study on people and they saw that when people went and they had their blood pressure taken by a doctor or a nurse with a white coat, their blood pressure rised compared to people who were wearing normal clothing. So it's just the stress people associate with going to doctors, because most of the time when we go to doctors, we're really, really sick. So I don't like wearing the white coat. First of all, I don't really see myself as the regular doctor that most people go see at Memorial Healthcare or the hospital. That's not me. I have created a house, a home here. I call my office Home of Hopes, because truly this is a place that people come in and they want to be loved. This is a place that they take off their shoes when they come to the office. This is a place that we are friends. I don't want to be your doctor. I mean, I am to a lot of people, but I really want to just be your friend, because you're so much more comfortable telling your friend about what happened to you 5 years ago when you had a really big trauma than to a doctor, because a lot of times there's a lot of judgment. And I also don't like to have an authority. I don't want to be the authority, because what I really want to teach people is the power and the magic of healing is inside of you. Most of us are finding that magic outside of ourselves, or we think that that magic is outside of ourselves. And that's not true. It is inside of us. So by just not wearing the white coat, by just looking like a regular gal and just being here serving my patients, I'm just letting them know that I'm no different. I'm on the same path. We're all in this together. And creating a really safe space for people to express themselves, to be honest, to feel comfortable, to feel loved. And they just really feel like they're coming to a really cozy space where I'm here to hold space for them and do all the other stuff. But, you know, I think that we give our power away to our spouse, to doctors, to some of our teachers. And in order for us to get our health back, we need to reclaim our power back. And it's inside of us. So that's why I don't wear the white coat.
Yes. So if you are just now tuning in, I want to thank Jen Perlman, Lucinda Collis, for everyone who's tuning in. Thank you for all the hearts, the thumbs up, the love, the support that you're giving Dr. Tara. And again, we are speaking with Dr. Tara Rasta. She is at Body Studios in Anaheim. If you would love to go ahead and get a session with her. But Dr. Tara, I love what you were saying about self-care, about not wearing the white coat, but we also want a professional. People want someone that they can go to and talk to about their diet, talk to about their pains, talk to about their struggle. How do you get people to open up to you about the things that are going on with them?
Well, I believe that people are really, really smart, Sharifah. People subliminally can read what you're about. They can tell if you're smart or if you're not. So when the first person, when they come in, they bring their blood work, they bring maybe their genetic analysis, they just tell me about their symptoms, I am able to hear them, and I'm able to say, oh, you're also experiencing this and this and this. And they haven't even told me about it, but I know. So I really believe that when people talk to an expert, they know that that person is an expert. I don't need to wear a white coat to bring that to my patients. They know it because they get better in 2-3 sessions. They know it because they get results, and they know it because I can connect with them and I can tell what they need, and I can say things to them that, you know, resonates truth with them. If you're somebody that you don't really know what you're talking about, it doesn't matter how you say it or what you say, people can tell. People are really smart. So in order for anybody to trust me and refer their friends and family to me, the first thing that they need to know is, first, I care. I really, really care. And second, that they can trust me. They can trust my expertise. To be honest, I have a lot of certificates because I go to so many seminars. I don't even have it anywhere on this wall, because to me, it's just a piece of paper. I have my license in the other room where my office is, and that's about it. Because to me, you know, I'm not trying to manipulate people to think that I know. I know what I know. And I don't know enough. So I'm always searching. And I always tell them that too. So when I tell them, send me all of your blood work, I want to see it from 2000s. I want to see the past 10 years. What is your patterns? And then I study it, and then I talk to them. They can already tell, first, that I care, and second, that they can trust my expertise.
So what are some of the things that you're able to tell based on simply their blood work?
So their blood work says a lot, especially if I'm able to look at someone's blood work within the past 5 years or 10 years. So there is a range in blood work that say, okay, if you're within this range, you're normal. But I don't view it like that. I view it like, if you're at the end of the range, at the higher end of the range, something is going on, especially when I look at your pattern within the 5 years, within the past 6 years, even within the past 2 years, and I see the numbers are going higher. So let's talk about thyroid, for example. Almost, Sharifah, 6 out of women in America suffers from autoimmune disorder associated with Hashimoto, which is a thyroid disease of the thyroid gland. So about 9 out of 10 blood work that I do on a weekly basis, 9 of those women have an autoimmune disease, different autoimmune, but mostly it's thyroid. So I look at their thyroid and I see, well, within the past 5 years, it was showing that something was going on with their thyroid because their hormone was at the end range. So let's say that your number should be around 2. All of a sudden they're at 2, and all of a sudden they're at 4, and then they're at 4.2, and then at 4.3. So then by then it's kind of too late. But it should have been catch when it was in that 3 range, when something was all of a sudden different. Even though those numbers are only like one number deviation, that is still really important. That shows that the chemistry is off. And then I also look at a lot of markers that a lot of insurances don't cover, which is why a lot of times people have to pay out of pocket, but they are important. So inflammatory markers, looking and see how inflamed the body is. Looking at ferritin, which is, a lot of times when doctors check for if the person has anemia, they don't check ferritin. But ferritin is another number. It's like a hidden number that can show that somebody has anemia. And if you have anemia, you're not getting any oxygen. So everything is going to fall apart. Then, we look at a lot of autoimmune markers because, again, 6 out of 10 women in America has autoimmune disease. So, sometimes the medication that they're given is not really helping the root cause. The root cause is a weak immune system that needs to be supported. So what I do with the blood work, I look at it in a very functional way. How is the body working functionally? How is this person's pattern? Have they have a big change? And also looking at markers that a lot of times are not even being checked. For example, with people having thyroid issue, they just give them medication, but we're not seeing what is the root cause of the thyroid issue, because there can be 3 different causes. For example, the person can have an autoimmune disorder. The person can have a conversion issue where their inactive thyroid hormone is not converting to the active form, or the person is not making enough. Is it from the thyroid gland or is it from the brain? Because it can be from both. So just really understanding the root cause, because these people don't get better. They are taking the medication, their hair is falling out. They are taking the medication, they cannot lose weight. And I think that I feel so bad for a lot of these women because they think it's their fault. They think that they don't have the willpower to lose weight. They think that, they're just not able to do it. And it's not a willpower issue. It's a power issue of hormones not working and supporting the person the right way, so that we can see the root cause of the issue instead of patching it with medication. Medication is good. I'm not saying anybody should not take their medication. I think it's important, especially if it's hormones, but also understanding why is this happening for you and can we do something about it?
So when you mentioned the thyroid issues, twofold question. Number one, is thyroid issues on the rise? And also in, I guess, modern medicine, if you want to call it, people tend to say, oh, it's just because you're getting older. That's why your thyroid is giving you problems. Just because you're in this age range, women at a certain age just automatically get thyroid problems, as opposed to, like you said, looking at the root cause. What would you say to that, Dr. Tara?
I think it's true. I think that medicine is maybe getting a little bit lazy, like doctors have gotten a little lazier. I'm not saying all, because I've also have gone to my own doctor who's amazing. And every time I go, I tell him what to order for me and he does it. So it's not all, but a lot of times people, they get into a pattern, they get into a habit. Everybody who comes in and they have this on their blood work, we're going to prescribe this. And it's kind of like rolling the dice. Like if this medicine doesn't work for you, let's roll the dice and see if this other one works for you, instead of really thinking critically. Okay, so why is this person having it? What is the root cause? Another issue that we're seeing is that a lot of diseases that up to this point we thought it was genetic based are actually not genetic based, and they're autoimmune based. So the autoimmune in general is becoming such a big issue, and that's because of the toxicity in our environment. So I'm going to talk about genetically modified food. Genetically modified food, they get a lot of pesticide, because no matter how much pesticide you put on genetically modified food, they're not going to die. So for example, buy a genetically modified tomato, put it in your fridge, look at it in 3 months, you still have a tomato. That looks like a fake fruit to me, because if it's a real tomato, the real tomato should go back in about a week. Right?
Yep.
So you're putting pesticide inside of you, but not only the fruit has got it, the fruit has grown with it because the pesticide is in our soil. Mm-hmm. So we are being exposed to so much more toxicity than ever before. Our clothes, like the polyester in our clothes, can literally go inside of our skin, and especially for women, because we dye our hair, we put makeup on our face, we put color on our nails, and all of those things can be absorbed. Mm-hmm. So now that we have this environment that we are constantly being exposed to things that are really damaging to us, we're seeing autoimmune on the rise. And then we go to the modern medicine and they give us medication, they give us thyroid hormone, but still they're not educating us about the toxicity. They're not educating us about gluten. Another issue, for example, with thyroid is autoimmunity comes from a celiac disease. So celiac disease is sensitivity to gluten. A lot of people have gluten sensitivity and they have celiac disease, but no one in the modern medicine is checking for it. No one is checking for it. My fiance went to his doctor and asked for an allergy test, and they just told him to take allergy meds. But what if he knows exactly what he's allergic to, and then he's going to take that away from his diet and not be sick anymore? So imagine your hand and you have your other hand and you're scratching this hand. You can think about the scratch as the toxicity, as the bugs, as the food, as all the stuff that we put on our skin. It doesn't matter what medication you take. It doesn't matter if you take antihistamine. The skin is going to get red because those triggers are there scratching at the surface. So same thing with gluten. If somebody has gluten sensitivity, it creates autoimmunity in our gut, and that gut autoimmunity is eventually going to cause all of our cells, all of our different organs to have an autoimmunity issue, because the body no longer is able to distinguish what is real, what is belongs to me, and what is something outside that I need to attack. Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah.
You mentioned gluten, and I know there's been a big push as far as everything now says gluten-free, gluten-free, gluten-free everywhere. But to me, gluten, or this push to have everything gluten-free, is relatively new, maybe the past 5 or 10 years. Why is that gluten all of a sudden is causing such detriment to our health?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that they're doing research about it, so that we know. But I think the second cause is because they're being produced in masses and they're genetically modified and they're getting a lot of pesticides. So our wheat, our grains are getting so much pesticide. So it may not be the gluten necessarily, it could be the fact that it has a lot of pesticide. But in general, the taking of grain, it seems to me that when I have my thyroid patients go grain-free for some time, it helps their immune system to come back up. And also gluten, it looks like something that is foreign to the body. So because it looks foreign to the body starts to create antibodies against it. So I feel like maybe it has been going on for a long time, but there wasn't a research, so we didn't know about it, so nothing was said. But also I think that it's the mass production of wheat and using so much pesticide and herbicide on it that now has created this mass autoimmune disease in our population and in society.
Wonderful answer. Great information. If you are just now tuning in, we are speaking with Dr. Tara Rasta, and Dr. Tara Rasta is amazing. You definitely want to check out her website at drtararasta.com and go ahead and schedule your appointment. Schedule your appointment and then look through the website, because I'm sure you are going to want to meet with Dr. Tara. Again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you are just now tuning in, please add your comments or your question to the comment section. I'll go ahead and read them to our guest. Karen Schofield Littlefield says, "Hi, ladies." So I definitely want to say good afternoon. Hello to Karen. Please go ahead and share this interview, because, again, Dr. Tara is amazing, and friends do not let friends miss out on Ask Sharifah. So yes, we are speaking with Dr. Tara, and one of the things I want to go back to, we spoke about briefly, is functional medicine. I think we talked a lot about the gluten, we talked about the thyroid, the toxicity, but I don't think we actually gave a definition of functional medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what it is?
So I like to call it functional wellness, because I don't do anything with medicine. But functional wellness is just looking at the person's blood chemistry and seeing how the pattern have changed within the past few years. Maybe somebody has only one blood work, and we're looking at it functionally. So we're not just looking at the range, what is in range, but we're also looking at all the extra markers that I would usually order for people and see if everything is in range. And if something is a little bit towards the high end of the range, or something is towards the end low of the range. Also, another thing with functional wellness that I do is that I have people order their genetic data. So I get their raw DNA data, and the raw DNA data is going to allow me to analyze their genetic makeup. So what I look at their genetic variation. So you get, one allele from your mom and one from your dad, and then that is going to, basically rule how your chemistry is going to go. But what is really, really interesting to me is that despite your genetic makeup, you can still be completely different because of the environment. So the way I help people is I look at their genetic makeup and I tell them, hey, this is what your predisposition is. Your predisposition is that you're not making this specific enzyme or this specific protein. I don't tell them that they're going to be exposed to specific diseases because I don't like the disease consciousness. I don't want to tell somebody, you are prone to develop MS, and then send them off going thinking that, God forbid, they're going to develop MS, because we know our thoughts become reality. But I do like to tell them, hey, in your chemistry, it seems like you're not able to produce enough energy. And only if we give you a little bit of CoQ10 and L-carnitine, we're going to help this energy pathway to come back on. Or we look at your genetic makeup and we see, your vitamin D is not being absorbed because the receptors that bind to vitamin D, you are genetically predisposed of not really absorbing it. So here are some cofactors, vitamin A and K, for you to enhance your vitamin D absorption. So it's really interesting because I can look at someone's chemistry and upgrade their chemistry with only a few supplements, or just telling them, hey, based on your genetic makeup, you shouldn't have any broccoli. It's as simple as that, because broccoli can give you small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And even though it's something really great, it's not great for you. Or something even as a spinach. I learned this past weekend that spinach can even cause autoimmunity of certain receptors in the brain. So everybody's really different, and it's important to acknowledge those differences through their genetic makeup, because then they can change what they're doing and change that genetic expression. And also looking at their blood work and just seeing what's working, what's not working, how can we upgrade it so that you feel better.
Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But before I do that, I want to give a little bit of love out to Gina and to Gigi, who are tuning in from the Angels game today to watch both of us. So they let us know they're at the Angels game and that they love us. And we definitely love you, Gina and Gigi. And thank you for tuning in, because, again, Dr. Tara is amazing, wonderful. And even an Angels game couldn't keep them from missing this show. So go ahead and share the show and let everyone know you're watching from the Angel game. But I want to go back to one of the things that you said, Dr. Tara, and you talk a lot, if I'm hearing you correctly, about food. You mentioned that you do not prescribe medicine, but it seems to me that when you take a look at the blood work, you also take a look at the person's diet in order to help them get into better health. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. Anytime you put food in your mouth, it's going to change the way your genes express themselves. So you can literally change the way your genes express themselves by just eating. And I think that's really, really important. That's why food is such an important aspect of our health. And that's why the food industry is killing us. And it's the truth.
What does it mean? I just want to just ask real quick. What does it mean that your genes express themselves? Please elaborate a little bit on that.
So your genes have the ability to get turned on and off. And what turns them on and off is mainly your environment.
Okay.
So, and those genes produce proteins, and proteins basically make up everything that is in your body. Your hair is made of protein, your eyes, your lips, your experiences. They're peptides that bind to a receptor, and they can make you feel a certain way. So your gene will, let's say, produce dopamine, and then dopamine binds to its receptors and makes you feel motivated. Your gene produces GABA, it binds to its receptor and it makes you feel calm. So or they make, the enzymes that breaks down food. So all of these genes have the ability to get turned on or off, produce a certain protein that can either upgrade your health or downgrade your health. So by saying that food can actually change the genetic expression, I'm saying that let's say you have tons of blueberries, then you're allowing your body to produce a protein that can take something that is really not good for your body. They're called free radicals, and turn it into a very powerful antioxidant such as glutathione. So food has the ability to create things in our body that are really good for us, and also has the ability to create things in our body that are really bad for us.
Very interesting. We want to welcome Edward Phillip. Edward Phillip is tuning in while he's packing. Okay, so he's packing for his trip, but he wanted to show you some support, Dr. Tara. So thank you, Edward, for joining us. Yes, everyone is tuning in, but if you have questions, thank you for your support. But again, if you have questions for Dr. Tara, because she's given us her time, her attention, and she's here to answer your questions. So if you have questions on functional medicine, how she can assist you, how to schedule a session, please go ahead and ask those in the comments section. Now, we talked a little bit about functional medicine, we talked about diet, but one of the things that you're really known for is network spinal analysis, which I had the honor and the privilege of having a session with you using that technique. But can you explain to our audience exactly what NSA or network spinal analysis is?
Network spinal analysis activates your body's organizing intelligence. So there is an organizing intelligence within our body that took us from a 2-cell organism into a 1 trillion-cell organism that we are. That organizing intelligence takes the food that you eat into the tissues that you are. That organizing intelligence can take a banana that you eat and turn it into a human. So I work with that organizing intelligence by working with your spine, because your nervous system and all the electrical activities happen in the spinal cord and in the brain. So network spinal is a very gentle chiropractic developed by Dr. Donnie Epstein in 1970s. And basically we activate the spine to move and release trauma that is stored in the body, as well as muscular and emotional tension. And we do it through breath. So we activate the person's breath, and we help them be able to direct their breath in different parts of their body and create awareness of different parts of the body. And once that breath is activated and is actually able to go through each vertebra of the spine, then the spine becomes activated. So there are these neurons, this cluster of neurons inside your spinal cord that they can create movement without getting a signal from your brain. This is called the central pattern generator. I'm giving you a lot of science here.
I'm taking notes.
But basically, it just helps people release the tension in their body. When we experience our life, when we experience a trauma, that experience doesn't just go in our brain and in our memory part of our brain. It goes into our body. We start, when we're having a traumatic experience, our body just cringes. Our holding pattern changes. So if, somebody has had sexual abuse, if they had physical abuse, any type of abuse, any type of trauma, that experience is locked into the tissue somewhere in the body. So NSA has the ability to release those traumatic experiences so that people can experience their body differently. I did a research about how sexual trauma, especially sexual abuse, affects the brain. And what I found is the part of the brain that is responsible for understanding and feeling the different parts of the body becomes disconnected. So a lot of people who have endured sexual trauma, sexual abuse, molestation, harassment, which is Sharifah, every 9 minutes, one person in America is either sexually harassed or goes under complete rape. So this is a serious issue, horrible. So their part of the brain starts to disconnect with their body. And one of the things that happens is that they have a higher threshold for pain. So these people, they start to perceive touch a little bit differently. So you can tickle them and they can actually perceive it as pain. You can have a light touch and they can perceive it as pain. So I really focus on helping people releasing those type of traumas from their body, but also any type of trauma from the body, because we all have experienced. If you're a human, you've had some kind of trauma that made you want to close your heart and bring your shoulders forward. So I really help people to just change their holding patterns. Another thing that's really important with NSA is that it helps people go from a fight and flight or a very hyperarousal response to a rest and digest, and makes their nervous system more adaptable to stress. So most people who come to my office, I do a test on them. It's called heart rate variability. So I look at the way their heart is beating, and the way someone's heart is beating, it tells me about their nervous system. It tells me if their nervous system is in a state of sympathetic, which is hyperarousal, fight and flight, I'm ready to go. The body is acting as if a tiger is chasing them, or parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. Or if their body is right in the middle, that is adaptable enough to go into the sympathetic where it needs to, or go to the parasympathetic. And Sharifah, guess where most people fall?
I would say on the fight or flight.
That's right. Most people are in the far end of the sympathetic or fight and flight nervous system. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm not wearing the white coat, even though, we're having a very friendly conversation and I look too tiny to be of a threat to anyone, their body is still acting as if a tiger is chasing them. Mm-hmm. And it takes, and so I start with NSA with all my patients, because in order for your body to absorb food, in order for your body to be in a healing process, in order for the body to make enough ATP or energy for the cells to heal, you have to be in a state of parasympathetic. You cannot be in a state of sympathetic and get healed. It's just not possible for the body, because the body is sending all the blood and energy to the muscles in case somebody needs to run away or punch somebody. So we have to get them into a state of parasympathetic so that the body is ready to heal. And once they get there, then I say, okay, now you have the energy for us to do the functional medicine. Now you have the adaptability to change your diet. Now you have the adaptability to actually take supplements and absorb the supplements, because a lot of times they're buying and getting these expensive supplements and they're not absorbing it. They're just peeing it out and they have an expensive pee. So it's really important that we address all parts of a human being. We are not just, one dimensional. There's so many dimensions and aspects to health.
Yes, absolutely. I know when we did my test, I was way in the fight or flight, and I'd stay in a constant state of ready to punch somebody out. But at least that was then. That was then. And now I've been working with Dr. Tara and all of the wonderful holistic practitioners. And I think I'm going to have to take that test again, because I would notice even while I was walking or I was out, I would be kind of tense. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's because I'm just kind of on guard for that's what happens when you live in downtown Long Beach. But I'm just always on guard for the next shoe to drop or something else to happen. So I've been working on relaxing and just not always being constant on guard. So with that, Karen has a question for you, Dr. Tara. She would like to know, what is the difference between autoimmune and autoinflammatory?
So autoinflammatory is that the body doesn't have an autoimmune marker. So when we say that somebody is autoimmune, is that we check specific antibodies and we see that the body, specific organs have been tagged with an antibody. That means that this organ can be a risk, and then the body may have to attack it. So let's say one of the common things that I see with people is that they have parietal cells antibodies. So the parietal cells are within the stomach, and if you have an antibody, then you're not absorbing vitamin B12. Okay, so then vitamin B12 is so huge in every process. So then as a result of that, you can get an inflammatory response, because B12 is needed to take the free radical called homocysteine into a powerful antioxidant glutathione. So when you don't have B12, that's not happening. So then you have an inflammatory response or autoinflammatory response. They are a little bit different, but they usually go together. With most people, if they have a pro-inflammatory response, they have mast cell disease, they have something inflammatory going on, most often they also have an autoimmune if they just need to be checked. And there is different autoimmune markers. They can be against your gut, they can be against your stomach, they can be against your brain, they can be against your thyroid. For most people, I check the thyroid because it's the most common thing, and also the parietal cells, which is in the stomach. But they can be different things, so it just depends on that person. But they actually go hand in hand, Karen. If you have one, you usually have the other. If you have, they kind of create the cycle together. So I really highly suggest for anybody experiencing inflammatory response or autoinflammatory, they need to check their homocysteine levels, and they need to check your CRP levels. And if those levels are higher than the range, or even at the end of the range, with your CRP should be less than 1, with your homocysteine it should be less than 5 or less than 7. If those levels are high, then we need to do something about it, and give the person something really strong, and a strong antioxidant. If they're in the state of sympathetic, bring them in and help their nervous system go into the state of parasympathetic, or at least take it away and bring them in the middle where they can be both, so that they have the ability to observe, because we know that stress is a very common cause of having an autoinflammatory issue because of cortisol. Cortisol is highly inflammatory.
Mm-hmm. So what you need to do is go to drtararasta.com, schedule that appointment. That's what I recommend. I don't know about anyone else, but that's my Ask Sharifah recommendation. So Dr. Tara, Paul Keeling would like to know, has NSA proven to help people suffering from PTSD? And Karen, before you answer that, I'm sorry, Karen says, thank you. You answered her question. So Paul's
You're
question,
welcome, Karen.
has NSA
Absolutely.
to help people?
Mm-hmm. So I can actually share some research if they want. We can share some research with them. So there are 2 studies that they've been done at the University of Erlangen, which is very close to us. One of them, it followed people for years. I don't know how many years, but it's a cohort study. So where they follow people and see how they're doing when they were on their network care. And they saw that people's anxiety was less, that people had a higher quality of life. And what was really interesting in the study is that a lot of the people who were, about 80%, which is a high number, of the people who were under network spinal care, they started to have spontaneous life changes. So they decided that they spontaneously are going to go and take a dance class. They decided that spontaneously they were going to work out and become a yoga instructor, which was really cool. They spontaneously decided that they were going to stop smoking weed or cigarettes, or stop drinking alcohol. So that's really cool. But I would say from experience, I should do case studies, but I haven't, that probably one of the most common things I help people is anxiety and PTSD. One, because NSA allows you to release the old past traumas that you have stored in your body that have created these holding patterns. And 2, because we're able to take your body from the state of arousal and fight and flight into the state of parasympathetic. And we prove it to you because we record your progress doing the heart rate variability. And, we can do blood testing so that you could see that you're having the progress. But the most important thing is that you will feel different. Mm-hmm. And Sharifah, this work is really strange because I barely touch people. Mm-hmm. So in order for me to feel, have a business, people need to see that they feel better. If they don't feel better, they're not going to come back and they're not going to refer anybody. And I'm building this business on a referral basis because it's just in the beginning, I did some outreach, and now it's my clients that refer other people. So you will feel different in 2 sessions. And that's usually my initial visit covers 2 visits because it takes a little bit of time for me to understand the person's body. But within 2 sessions, that anxiety will be less. You will be able to sleep better. You'll be able to feel differently. However, it varies if the person is on medication, because medication can interfere with this work. So it varies if you're taking some kind of medication, then I cannot guarantee it compared to somebody who's not taking anything. But if you are, I am working with people who are taking medications and they're doing much better.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've never heard the term spontaneous life changes. I think that's amazing. And I think it's very interesting. I usually hear like spontaneous combustion, where all of a sudden they just, burst into flames, but people just feel better. And when you feel better, because so often it's your anxiety, it's your depression that's keeping you from doing all those things on your bucket list that you always dreamed of doing. So now that you feel better, not only just feeling better, but you have more energy. So you start to think about all those things that you would really love to do. And then you realize many of those things aren't that difficult. Maybe you just, like you said, go ahead and sign up for that dance class. Maybe you want to start doing yoga, but it's because of you and your energy. Now your energy is up, you're feeling better, and now you're willing and ready to take all of those steps. I think that is amazing, Dr. Tara. We're coming down. We have a few minutes left on the show, maybe about 15 minutes. And I just wanted to make sure that I got this in. You have an event coming up in September. I think it's the first weekend after Labor Day. And you're actually having an event where you're going out and you're helping people. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, we're having an event with Toby Gant, who's a meditation teacher, on September 7th, which is a Saturday. And it's an all-day event. So people are going to show up around 10 or 11, and we're going to go till 5. I find these events very powerful because I go to these events often for myself. And when I feel like I need an immediate change, my energy needs to shift, something needs to open up, I sign up for the weekend events or one-day events. And so in this event, it's called Reclaim Your Power Through Somatograde. We're going to do a workshop that involves a breath work, but this is not just any kind of breath work. The breath work is based upon Dr. Donnie Epstein's book called Somatorespiratory Integration, and it describes different stages of healing. Because in order for us to heal, we have to go through, it's a season, it's a stage. It's not just we are feeling bad and then we feel good. Mm-hmm. We go through different states of, it's like a spiral that you go up. So we help people understand what these states of healings are, and we give them tools through the breath, through the yoga, through the meditation that they can use on their own. So when they are in a state of suffering, they can have a tool and they understand, okay, this is part of the process. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Mm-hmm. Or when they're in a state of stuckness and they feel like something is stuck, their life is stuck, they have a tool and they have a breath work and they have a yoga pose and they have a meditation that they can use so that they can shift that state of mind. We're also doing a sound bath with Stacey Pendleton. She's absolutely amazing. Sound healing is one of the techniques I use in my office, and it's just so powerful for us in order to shift our energetics and also to release our traumas, because our cell, we're 90% water, so the sound creates vibrations in us for 90 minutes, and she's going to help people just realign and release and reconnect back to themselves so that we are all connected to that organizing intelligence, because it is that organizing intelligence that knows what you need. And unfortunately, we have been very disconnected from it because we're being trained and conditioned constantly that everything we need is outside of us. So in this one day, we're going to teach you how do you connect with yourself and how do you connect with different parts of yourself that you may need during a different state of healing or during a different stage of life, or when you're going through projection, someone is projecting on you, someone is judging you, when you're going through a stage of wanting to take your power back because you realize you have given your power away, or when you want to feel connected to everybody else. These healing sessions are very powerful because we do it as a collective, we do it as a group. And I find, Sharifah, that collective healing is much more powerful than one-on-ones. I do one-on-ones as well, and some of the sessions are one-on-ones, like the functional medicine part. But when I do healing sessions and all of my beds are full and people are helping each other out, especially when I do families, mm-hmm. where there is a husband, the wife, and the kid in the same room and they're doing this work together, it is so powerful because we energetically help each other out. Mm-hmm. When I can hear somebody else breathing, it signals that I can breathe. When I see somebody else relaxing, it's like energetically I can relax. And, a lot of people say, oh, what if I take this person's energy? And I am here to teach people that you don't have to take anyone's energy, that you're strong enough to just use your own energy for your own healing, because we've been a victim for a long time. There is no need to be a victim anymore. It's time to take our power back, especially with everything that is going on in our society. It's important to take control of our health, of our food, of what we wear, especially as women, because we are constantly being objectified of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to look. So it's really time to reclaim that power back. And this day, we are going to teach you different tools so that you can stay in your power.
And so if someone is more interested in that event, how do they find out more information?
I'm going to send a link on there in the comments, but they can also go to Toby's website. Can you tell us Toby's website?
Yes, for Toby Gant, it's shekholistic.com, and that's SHEK holistic.com. So shekholistic.com, and it is Reclaim Your Power with Somatograde. And that's again with Toby Gant, Dr. Tara Rasta, and a special appearance by Stacey Pendleton, who I agree is wonderful. So go ahead, check that out. Register, schedule your appointment, confirm your appointment at shekholistic.com. And Paul Keeling, Dr. Tara, says, thank you. I really appreciate hearing how anxiety would also be reduced.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes. So you have so much information, Dr. Tara. When a client comes to you, typically, it's my understanding that a lot of the people that come to you may not be able to ascertain or determine, say, oh, I have a thyroid problem, or I have this issue that's going on with me. But a lot of people may come to you because maybe they're feeling anxious, maybe they're feeling depressed, maybe, they need help with their diet or their system because their gut is feeling sluggish, their body is feeling sluggish, but they don't know the medical term for what's going wrong with them. Would you agree with that? Or, you know, because we don't know. As patients, we don't know. We need a doctor such as yourself to tell us.
I 100% agree with you. A lot of people think they have depression when they have anemia. They just don't know, because doctors check them for anemia and then they don't check that hidden marker, right? So they just have anemia. A lot of people think they have anxiety, but they only have a thyroid issue that's not being addressed. So I have an assessment forms that I send to clients. My paperwork is so extensive, but those paperwork, that tells me where the issue is, because it asks the same question in different ways and it has different sections. So when they come in and I look at those questionnaire, I already know what's not working, what's working. And then obviously through taking a really detailed history and then looking at their past blood work, it will make itself apparent what's going on. And it could just simply be stress as well. So that's why we start with something really gentle. We don't push everything. You know, I don't push everything to the person on the first visit. It's a process. So when they first come in, it's like about, okay, let's get your nervous system from this hyper arousal to state of calm. And then let's move forward. Let's look at your blood work. But from the beginning, I have an idea of what's going on. So we'll target the different aspects depending how the person changes. Because honestly, I have people that within 5 visits, all of their issues are gone. So then I don't even do any blood work. I don't give them any supplements. So it's, you know, it's just really depends on the person and what they're coming here for.
Do you have to see everyone in person? Or do you do any remote work?
I do remote work because I'm able to order blood work and the genetic analysis, and they can just go do it and then I get the results. So for some people that they're not able to come to the office, I do remote, and we just meet on Zoom and they sign a form that it's okay with them, that we're going to communicate through email and their health history is going to be through emails. As long as they're okay with that and they're giving me the consent. I have worked with a few people just online, but I do prefer people to come in here because I have a certain technology and scanning that I do that I will need the person here. But if they cannot come here, I can still help them. I have helped a lot of people that are in different states.
No, I mean, it's just you and your persona and your voice, everything. I just know that you have this calming effect. You know, you're like the mother where you're just like, oh, everything is going to be okay. You know, and they always say it's done unto you as you believe. And so when you start to believe that it's going to be okay and that everything is going to be all right, that whether you think it's depression or anxiety or whatever it is, it's this feeling of calm that just comes over you. Like, okay, you know what? It is going to be okay. It is going to be all right. So I really believe that that's a really great feeling. Now, again, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and I want to offer, again, everyone the opportunity. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, we do have Dr. Tara Rasta here available. She's answered some questions already. If you have any questions left, please go ahead and ask those questions. We learned a lot during this interview. So please go ahead and share this interview with your friends so your friends can learn as well, because who knows, maybe they think they're depressed. Maybe they think they're anxious, and it's just a lot going on in the world. I just shared this article today on Facebook, on social media, where it was saying in the article, you know, everyone can read it, but it said that when the income, the living wage, the hourly wage goes up, there are less suicides. You know, and you would never see a direct correlation between suicide and how much someone makes per hour. But it's pretty obvious. You know, if you're making a low wage, you're not very happy. So sometimes they don't need medicine. They don't need all these different things. They need to go and speak to someone such as yourself, Dr. Tara, and, you know, you can help them out and lift their spirits. So since we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show, it's 555 now. Love that number. I want to give you a few minutes to speak directly to the audience and let them know what you want them to take away from your interview.
I'd like for people to take away that there is an organizing intelligence within you. The magic is inside of you. There is going to be so many people, so many programs, so many conditioning that is going to tell you that everything you need is outside of you. You need this new supplement, you need this, and you need that. But truly, you just need to connect back to yourself, and you need to be able to take deep breaths, and you need to be able to know who you are and believe that your body has the ability to heal itself. And yes, we do need people to hold space for us. Sometimes we do need a practitioner to come in and really look at what we have got so that they care, so that they can go home and they study what we have so that they can come up with a new solution. But it doesn't matter what your issue is. there is always a way. If there is a will, there is a way. I really care about my patients. I really care about anybody who comes through the door. I believe that God sends them to me and I take good care of them. And it's because I truly enjoy when people's life are changed, and your life can be changed too. It can be very simple. It can just be a little breath work. It can just be one supplement you're missing. It can be a little tweak in your diet, but it can change your life, because you don't know how good you feel until you feel better. You don't know how much pain you are in until you're not in pain anymore. So please take the time to take care of yourself. My phone number is 714-679-8608. Don't feel intimidated. Call me. You can come here. We can have some tea on my off days, and you can just see if you connect with me. I'm not here to put anybody in a fear factor that they have to work with me because I know better. But if you think that I can help you, give me a call. The call is free. There is a 15-minute complimentary consult. We can just talk and we can see if we're a good fit. And if you feel comfortable and that trust is there, because that trust is really important, you need to feel connected to your practitioner. You feel you need to connect and know that this person is there to help you, to support you, then we can move forward. So if there's anybody out there that can take something away from this, if there's anybody out there, your hair is falling, your energy is low, you cannot lose weight, you have gone through all the other doctors, you've done your blood work, you don't know what's going on, but you just don't feel like yourself anymore, give me a call. Give me a chance. There is something that we can do, and there is help for you. Thank you, Sharifah.
You are welcome. Dr. Tara, please give us your number again.
714-679-8608. I'll say it one more time. 714-679-8608. If you would like to contact me through email, it's dr.tararasta@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you guys and help you out in any way I can.
Yes, that email, dr.tararasta@gmail.com. If you're more comfortable sending an email as opposed to a phone call, but Dr. Tara is very responsive. One of the things I just love about her, she communicates on social media. What's your Instagram, Dr. Tara?
It's Dr. Tara Rasta.
Yeah, so at Dr. Tara Rasta on Instagram. You can follow her on Facebook. We have a comment from, and I'm horrible with names, so forgive me, Waleska Marcona says, "Thank you so much for such an informative presentation."
You're very welcome.
Yes, so I would love to thank you, Dr. Tara, for being a guest on today's episode of Ask Sharifah Videocast. We do have another comment. Jerry Yusko says, "Thank you, Tara, for all your info and help."
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, so thank you for being a guest today, Dr. Tara.
Of course, Sharifah. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day and a weekend.
Yes, yes. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We definitely appreciate your support. Jerry, Waleska, Paul, Karen, Gigi, Gina, Edward, so many people, Lucinda, lots of hearts, lots of thumbs up, a lot of love for you. Everyone showed up to support you, Dr. Tara. So we definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who shared this interview and showed Dr. Tara some support. So I just appreciate it. And if you are interested in being a guest on Ask Sharifah, or maybe you're interested in watching more of my interviews or sponsoring my show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until then, everyone have a blessed day. Good night now.
Good night.